Hello gorgeous, I am back today, and today I wanted to share with you a really almost bone-chilling and goosebump giving experience from my own life. I have been trying to share this message with everyone that I'm coming in contact with because it is so uplifting and bone-chilling at the same time. So as you guys know, earlier today I taught a 90-minute class inside of my manifestation master codes course, which the class was called Exponential Manifesting, and I taught on water rituals and different techniques and things that I've used to speed up the process of manifesting in my own life. And this again story came up, and it had such a big effect, powerful effect on the students, that I thought I would really want to put this out here for you guys as well. So many of you guys have heard my story. In my previous life, it feels like a whole nother life, I was in a different marriage, and it was just a very toxic relationship. And 2004, 2005 was basically the worst time of my entire 41-year-old life. I was just in a very down place. I was pregnant with my ex-husband's child. He was cheating on me. It was a very toxic relationship, and we had both made tons of mistakes, and it was just a very down time. I was diagnosed with depression. I was trying to work full-time, go to school, deliver this baby, try to save this marriage, and it was just, nothing was working out for me. It was just a very down and depressing time. And the interesting thing is that I didn't know this at the time, but in a different state, you know, hundreds of miles away, there was a man who is now my husband buying his first home for his future wife. And the thing is, that home he was having built by the builders, and he kept thinking, you know, I'm buying this home for my future wife. And he kept imagining this woman coming into his life and this being their home that they were going to share together. And while I was in that extreme miserable state, I had no idea that that home was being prepared for me and built for me, right? Because I was so stuck in that misery, trying to save that really toxic relationship and make sense of everything. I wasn't aware to even know that this other house was available for me. The more bone-chilling and interesting thing is that this palace, this huge mansion that we have now manifested, was also built in that same year. So while I was diagnosed with depression, gestational diabetes, at my heaviest weight ever, so depressed, down, anxious about that marriage, delivering a baby, trying to raise that baby as a single mom as my marriage was failing, there was not one, but two homes being built for me and prepared for me. God had other plans for me, right? I did not know this at the time, but God had this plan of me meeting my beautiful, you know, divine union, my forever husband now. He had a plan of me having this beautiful family. And I not only lived in that first house with my husband, we ended up buying the second house in Houston, which we're now listing and selling on the market, and this house as well. So two of the three properties that I've lived with my current husband with, two of them were built in that year. I don't know about you, but that gives me chills. It is bone chilling for me, because think about it. When people are going through a bad time, a rough time, a low period, or maybe it's a rock bottom for you like it was for me. Honestly, I consider that time of my life like the absolute rock bottom of my life, right? I consider that time worse than the sexual abuse that I went through. I consider that time really, really a low period. I actually was also raped during that time. Many of you guys know my story. So in the most despair, lowest rock bottom time of my life, there was so much that was being manifested for me. I wasn't ready to receive it yet. I wasn't in that state to call it in, but it was still being prepared for me. Because God knew that one day I will be ready. One day I will get myself out of that state and decide that I get to have better things. Decide that I'm worthy. Decide that I get to have a certain level of relationship, a certain level of safety and security in my life, a certain level of love in my life, okay? And I think that this is a very important story for you to know, because no matter what you're going through right now, there is something being created for you. There's something that's being built behind the scenes. There's seeds that God has planted. They're taking root, but you can't see them quite yet. So always remember that somewhere there is something else blooming for you, is flourishing. And maybe you're not really in that state to call it in, but even letting that little bit of hope shine through, that little ray of sunshine, and saying, you know what, maybe there is something bigger and better that I'm being prepared for. It was all of that misery, all of that suffering that made me question what life was about, what was my relationship with God, my own decisions that had led me into that place. I don't blame anyone at all for what I went through, because most of that was my own doing. It was decisions that I had made, right? There were lessons that I needed to learn in that situation. But maybe for you, it's an act of God. Maybe it feels like you had nothing to do with any of the things that you're going through. Maybe they are things that just happened to you. But maybe it's the pathway, it's the alley, it's the darkness before the thing that you're really being called to manifest, materializes. Okay, so just remember that, you know, in my parents' culture, they have this saying where they say that the ultimate house for you is being built in heaven. And I almost like feel like I got to experience that here on earth through the story. So my ultimate home, my dream home, is this house that I'm in right now. And this is a house out of my dreams. I can't even imagine being in this house. Like, it just feels so like surreal to me, so next level, so quantum. And it was being built for me at my deepest and darkest time. I will never forget that. Like, I'm forever indebted to God for this, because I'm like, wow, like right when I thought there was nothing left for me, I in this period of my life, I actually considered taking my life at one point. That's how low I was. That's how depressed I was. But so much was being created for me. There was so much I was being summoned towards. And I'm so glad that I listened to that call, and I didn't give up, and I didn't have despair, and I didn't live in that lack of hope, that I let hope touch me and inspire me to desire better, to want more, to make better decisions. So I don't know who needs to hear this story. Maybe it's you, maybe it's a friend, but I do believe that someone out there needs to hear this, and maybe it is you, and I hope that this finds you well. And I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.